No, hey, you said you like surprises.
Yeah, I do.
The story begins by introducing a couple named Iris and her boyfriend, Paul. Iris is seen riding in a car with her eyes covered, as Paul wants to surprise her. It turns out, he's taking her to a restaurant at the Skyview Tower.
You're burning things.
Now. Come on.
As they entered and took the elevator to the top of the tower, a mix of happiness and panic was clearly visible on Iris's face. The elevator was moving, abnormally, as if giving the impression that something was not quite right and should be watched out for. After they reached the top, Paul took Iris to the very peak of the tower. It turned out, Paul was planning to propose to her there. But just as Paul began to express his intention, Iris hesitated. She admitted she was pregnant with Paul's child, a piece of news she had kept to herself out of fear that it might make him angry. But instead, Paul looked overjoyed and even more certain that he wanted Iris to be his life partner.
Hey, let's go celebrate.
In that joyful moment, Iris and Paul went downstairs to dance. Unbeknownst to anyone, a waiter, who was opening a bottle of alcohol, accidentally launched the bottle cap. The cap struck a lamp made of hard, sharp material, causing it to fall onto the glass floor. The impact created a crack, which slowly began to spread. At the same time, a small child threw a coin, which was sucked into the tower's ventilation system and got stuck in a fan. The coin, dislodged by the spinning blades, was then flung out and struck a canister filled with gas, causing it to leak. The situation grew even worse when a bolt from the tower also came loose. So this is what happened next. Yes, people began falling from the great height, like a rain of human bodies. Paul managed to hold on for a moment, clinging to a remaining shard of the glass floor. Iris desperately tried to save him. But tragically, the glass couldn't hold, and Paul fell to his death. Iris was left in shock, shattered by the loss of her fiancé. Meanwhile, the chaos only grew worse as the leaking gas ignited, and flames quickly spread throughout the entire tower, until finally, Iris immediately ran toward the elevator along with the other visitors, all scrambling to get in first. However, just before she could reach the elevator to escape, suddenly,
We're already over capacity!
yes, Iris quickly searched for another way to escape, but her steps came to a halt when she looked up and saw the tower's ceiling starting to crack and Fortunately, Iris was still alive. She spotted a small child, who had also survived, hiding and taking cover inside a cabinet. Iris took the initiative to rescue the child, but then yes, it turns out everything was just a nightmare experienced by a young woman named Stefanie. She was caught sleeping during a lecture and got scolded by her professor. As it turns out, Stefanie is the granddaughter of Iris. She had been haunted by the same recurring dream about her grandmother's death at Skyview Tower. That night, Stefanie had the nightmare again. Feeling frustrated, she finally opened up to her friend about the dreams, which always ended with Iris dying tragically. Her friend then suggested that Stefanie go back home and try to uncover the truth about her grandmother.
So the woman in my dream, her name is Iris. I never even met her. I don't even know if she's alive.
Go home and find out about Grandma and
The next morning, Stefanie came home and she immediately asked her father about her mother's belongings. Stefanie wanted to find out more about her grandmother, Iris. Unfortunately, her father said that all of those items had been thrown away after her mother left, without a trace. Later, Stefanie's younger brother Charlie was about to go to their cousin's house. Stefanie quickly offered to take him there. Before they left, their father firmly reminded Stefanie, "Do not bring up anything about Iris in front of your uncle."
Okay, can you just promise me you won't tell Dad? I'm on academic probation. If I don't get my grades up, I will lose my scholarship.
What happened?
Nightmare about Iris.
I dream weird things.
Upon arriving, Stefanie and Charlie met their three cousins, the eldest, Eric, followed by Julia and Bobby. Stefanie then went straight to see her uncle, Howard. However, the moment Stefanie asked about Iris, her uncle's expression completely changed. He said that her grandmother, Iris, had gone mad, as she once shocked the entire country with her delusional stories about death. Iris had become so obsessed with death, she even sent disturbing letters, including images of corpses, to her own family members. That's why Uncle Howard sternly warned Stefanie not to dig any deeper into Iris's past, for her own safety.
Do you still have any of those letters?
That woman is a sick and dangerous person. Stay the hell away from her.
I need you to help me.
However, Stefanie didn't give up. She then asked her aunt for help, and eventually her aunt agreed. Her aunt told Stefanie to check a drawer inside the cupboard. And sure enough, Stefanie found a box containing old photographs and the address of Iris's house. Armed with that address, Stefanie immediately set out to find it. Upon arriving at Iris's house, which turned out to be deep in the forest, and the moment Iris realized that the visitor was her granddaughter, she immediately opened the gate.
No visitors. I'm your granddaughter.
Come in slowly.
Upon entering the house, her grandmother welcomed her with a joyful face, having never once met Stefanie before. There, Stefanie immediately told her about the recurring nightmares she had been experiencing. Iris then revealed that all of Stefanie's dreams were actually memories of a past that was supposed to happen, but was successfully prevented by Iris. At that time, Iris was at the top of Skyview when she had a terrible premonition. She quickly stopped a child who was about to throw a coin. Right after that, Iris rushed inside and told everyone to get down from the tower before the glass floor could collapse.
Everyone's going to die.
The penny. Give it to me!
What are you doing? Iris?
Everyone needs to get off the dance floor! Get off!
Lives that were never meant to be saved.
Wait, so you stopped the disaster?
But Death doesn't like it when you fuck with his plan.
As a result of her actions, Death became enraged and immediately cursed Iris. The curse. Death would forever haunt all of her bloodline, for eternity. Iris then taught Stefanie how to avoid death, by always paying attention to even the smallest signs around her. She also showed Stefanie a book, filled with detailed notes and long analyses of how small things could be used by death to eliminate its targets. But Stefanie, still in disbelief, eventually decided to leave Iris's house. Before she left, Iris begged her to take the book and study it. But Stefanie refused and walked away, prompting Iris to desperately run out of the house to hand her the book herself.
At least take the book! Stefanie!
Actually, Iris knew that if she left the house, something bad would happen to her. But for the sake of her family's safety, Iris bravely stepped out and gave the book to Stefanie. So,
Stop! This book is a lifeline.
You still don't believe me?
Step back.
You were right about Iris. I never should have went there. Something to me before she died. She said death was coming for our family.
grief enveloped Stefanie's family, especially Stefanie herself, who was the most devastated after witnessing her grandmother's tragic death firsthand. After they buried her grandmother's body, Stefanie was shocked by the arrival of her mother, Darlene Lewis. However, Stefanie harbored deep resentment toward her, as Darlene had been absent for most of her childhood. Although Darlene had started visiting the family from time to time, Stefanie, who rarely came home, never realized that her mother had actually been checking in on them.
You're not even gonna talk to her?
You don't remember her like I...
You're mad at Mom, but you haven't been...
I'm not like her.
You just don't care.
Out of curiosity, Stefanie began reading Iris's research journal. Inside the book were various drawings and detailed analytical notes, clearly explaining how everyone who survived the Skyview incident, along with all of their descendants, would die one by one, including Stefanie's own family. Out of concern for her family, Stefanie quickly rushed to Uncle Howard's house. Her entire family was gathered there, holding a barbecue to commemorate Iris's death. Among them was Stefanie's mother, Darlene, who had brought a tray of peanut cookies. Fortunately, Charlie tried one of the cookies first, because it turned out that Bobby was allergic to peanuts. Darlene immediately apologized, realizing she had nearly harmed her own nephew.
Does this have peanut butter?
Are you trying to kill my brother?
I totally forgot. I'm so sorry.
Just gotta love the one that you got. And her death should be a reminder to all of us. I love you guys.
Cheers.
While everyone else was enjoying the party, Darlene isolated herself. Uncle Howard then approached her. In that moment, he offered Darlene a chance to stay with them, so she could try to repair her relationship with her children. Unfortunately, Darlene declined, believing they would all be better off without her. Moments later, Stefanie arrived, rushing in with a panicked expression. And suddenly, after witnessing the deaths of 2 family members right before her eyes, Stefanie became even more convinced by the theory of death researched by Iris. With the help of Iris's research book, Stefanie began analyzing and predicting the order in which her family members might die, based on the patterns of death. She then shared the results of her analysis with all the remaining surviving family members.
Articles for the people who were at the Skyview. They all died in the same order as Iris's premonition. So Death came back for them, one by one.
Unfortunately, not a single person believed in the death theory Stefanie had shared. They even started to think that Stefanie was losing her mind, just like her grandmother, Iris. Stefanie explained that death would come in a specific order, starting with the eldest. However, Eric, who was next in line according to her theory, didn't care at all, and they all just walked away, completely ignoring Stefanie's warning.
Death makes its way down each branch by age first, meaning Eric, you're next.
Go fuck yourself.
That crazy woman's nonsense has caused... No, wait. I'm worried about you.
Stop.
You believe me, right?
I'm sorry.
That night, while Eric was working, he, who had never cared about the death theory from the start, did not realize that death was stalking him, and strange signs began to appear, one by one, until finally, the warnings Stefanie had been giving all along became a terrifying reality. So,
God damn it.
the next morning, after hearing that Eric's workplace had burned down, Stefanie took Charlie to go check on him. But on the way, they unexpectedly saw Eric, alive and well. Somehow, he had escaped death. Perhaps Eric had been lucky. Maybe it was the leather jacket he was wearing that helped him survive the fire.
Just because Death didn't kill you last night doesn't mean that you're safe. And stay away from these kids. Take the ball into his face.
Whoa. That does sound deadly.
Even so, Stefanie remained worried and kept warning Eric to be cautious of everything around him. However, Eric mocked Stefanie's concerns, even deliberately courting danger and acting recklessly. At the same time, Julia was getting ready to go jogging. But then,
Coming for our family.
yes, Julia had climbed into the garbage truck. They rushed after her, trying desperately to stop it. But the driver, who was listening to music with his headphones on, didn't notice them at all. And then...
Give me your hand! I got you!
After witnessing Julia's tragic death firsthand, Stefanie's family finally began to believe that death was truly targeting them. One by one, they apologized to Stefanie for doubting all of her warnings up to that point. At that very moment, the reason behind Eric's survival was also revealed. It turned out his survival wasn't due to luck at all. Their aunt confessed a shocking truth. Eric was not Uncle Howard's biological son, but the result of an affair, which meant Eric was not a descendant of Iris, and that's why he escaped the curse. Now, it was believed that Bobby would be the next target. Frightened, Bobby begged Stefanie to help him, since Stefanie was the only one able to recognize the signs of impending death. The entire family placed their hopes in her. They only wanted one thing, to survive. But Stefanie admitted that all of her insight came from her late grandmother Iris's research journal. She then showed them the contents of the book, filled with notes, analysis, and death patterns. On one page, it was written that a person with the initials JB had once discovered a way to escape death. As soon as those initials were mentioned, Darlene suddenly remembered that her mother, Iris, had once spoken about someone named JB, and it turned out JB was now staying in a hospital. Without wasting any time, they all rushed to the hospital, hoping that JB held the answers that could save them all.
Much as even touches a nut, his throat is going to close up tighter.
Nut check.
What?
Someone's got to protect you.
Upon arriving at the hospital, they immediately headed to the autopsy room to meet JB. It turned out, JB was a mortician named William Bloodworth. When they met him, they were surprised to learn that William already knew who they were and understood the reason for their visit. There, he began to recount how he first met Iris, and to their shock, Bloodworth was the little boy who had once been saved by Iris during the Skyview Tower incident.
I wasn't supposed to be there, except, of course, to die.
Everyone needs to get off now! Wait, no!
You were the little boy.
Correct.
After discovering who William really was, Stefanie felt a glimmer of hope to save her family. But when Stefanie asked how to break the chain of death, William replied that there were two ways. The first way, to die, and then be brought back to life, to deceive death by making it believe you're gone for good. The second way, to kill someone, because when one life is taken, the chain of death can be broken, at least temporarily.
Please, you have to help us.
Fact is, you're all gonna die.
You're just gonna leave us here? Dude, we need your help. Where are you?
Life is precious. Good luck.
Upon hearing the fact that there was no way they could survive, everyone became even more frustrated. While Darlene and Charlie tried to calm down a panicked and desperate Stefanie, Eric and Bobby suddenly disappeared. It turned out, the two of them had decided to take a huge risk. They planned to make Bobby die, and then bring him back to life. Bobby would eat peanuts, which, as we all know, could trigger his severe allergy. They then entered the MRI room and began carrying out their reckless plan, but without realizing it, the MRI machine suddenly activated, emitting an extremely powerful magnetic force. And then, this is what happened.
Bobby, hey! Hey!
Knowing that death would continue to pursue them, Stefanie, Charlie, and Darlene decided to hide in Iris's cabin for protection. They believed it was the only place safe from death, because Iris herself had managed to live there for a long time.
Okay. Let's go.
When they arrived at Iris's house, the gate was closed and locked. They had no choice but to break in by force. At first, everything seemed fine, and nothing dangerous happened. But when Stefanie's seatbelt wouldn't unbuckle, she started to get a bad feeling. She told her mother and Charlie to get out of the car first. Then, as Darlene entered the cabin, suddenly, seeing Charlie pinned by the tree, Darlene rushed over and did everything she could to free him. On one hand, she successfully managed to save her son, but she forgot that it was actually herself who was in danger. Until finally.
I'm gonna stay alive as long as possible.
On the other side, Stefanie was trapped inside the car that had flipped over due to the earlier explosion. The car had rolled into a pond, and Stefanie was nearly drowning because her seatbelt was still stuck, even though he was still in shock from his mother's death. Charlie rushed to save his sister. Fortunately, Stefanie was saved, thanks to her brother. They believed they had successfully broken the chain of death, because Charlie had managed to bring Stefanie back to life, which meant they had escaped the deadly curse.
You brought me back. We're safe now.
A few days after the death curse had ended, Stefanie and Charlie went back to living their normal lives. At that time, they were attending an important event, the moment when Charlie was going to propose to his girlfriend. There, Stefanie met Charlie's girlfriend's father, but this is where a shocking truth was revealed. Charlie's girlfriend's father, who turned out to be a doctor, told them that Stefanie hadn't actually died at that moment. She had only fainted. He explained that the true definition of death is when the heart completely stops beating. So this is what happens next.
Hi, hello.
Finished. The moral message from Final Destination, Bloodlines 2025, is that no matter how hard we try to avoid it, fate will always find a way. The film reminds us that life is fragile, and death can come at any moment, even through the smallest, most unexpected things. But that doesn't mean we should live in fear. Instead, we should learn to value every moment, cherish the people around us, and live with greater awareness. Because in the end, it's not about how long we live, but how deeply we experience every second of it. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.